gentlemen. Diamond-Crest Foundation. Thank you. You're welcome to the stage, sir. I would like to recognize the presence of representative of the Director General of NTA, Dr. Cyril Stoddard. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Stage to the high table, the German Ambassador, Genesike Wednesday. And also the Ambassador Finland to Nigeria, to the high table. Oyede to the high table. Member of Armagh Council to the high table. And not forgetting the presence of the UPF coordinator, none other than Dr. George Ipo to the high table. He's part of this program and a partner. I would like to invite Pastor Silas for the opening prayer. Thank you.
Let us be down on feet, please. Dearest, most faithful and Father, we thank you for this very good gathering, where your sons and daughters are here once again to deliberate on the issue of education in this country. Father, please, every word that's going to be said out today should be a word that you've already ordained, so that, Father, when we receive this message, we can go down and make better use of it in our life. Thank you for this gathering this day. In Jesus' name we pray.
Once again, Honorable Galadima, for this land representative.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Bound in freedom, peace and unity. A culture of heart, peace, unity, and education. It is a baby and a blueprint of the President and founder of this important and historical event. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the podium for the opening remarks Mr. Gideon Oyede. Your hands together for him. Thank you very much.
Presented by the founder and president, Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation, on the occasion of the opening ceremony of the two-day All-Stakeholders Conference on Education, Youth and National Development and Unity, held in partnership with Universal Peace Federation on the 24th and 25th of July 2013 at the Nigerian National Merit Award Merit House, ABUJA. The chairman, the special guest of honor, His Excellencies, Her Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, special guests, members of the organizing committee, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a great sense of fulfillment that I humbly welcome everyone to this very significant and historic conference. A conference planned and organized to look into the overall place of education and youth development in the promotion of peace, national development and unity in Nigeria. This conference is conceptualized, planned, organized and sponsored by the Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation in partnership with Universal Peace Federation, Nigerian chapter. Before I go on with this welcome address, I would like to specially acknowledge and appreciate all the members of the planning and organizing committee who, in the midst of their very busy schedules, always sacrifice their precious times to come and sit for hours, for weeks, and for months since February 2, 2013, when the committee started. A warm appreciation goes to the chairman of the committee and the Diamond-Crest Education Foundation, Professor C.J. Amendo. We are here today because he committed himself to this conference because he believes strongly in the project. Thank you, sir. I also want to specially appreciate our partner in this conference, Universal Peace Federation. I thank the National Coordinator of Universal Peace Federation, Dr. George Ibo, for all his advice and overall commitment with his entire office and team, and also as a member of the planning committee. Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Bridget Shoker, Dr. Ngozi Jepome, Aaron Mahmenai, Haji Abubakar Mahmoud, and others. God bless you all. The Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation is truly a pan-Nigerian organization conceived with an African vision for a Nigerian nation. Our coming into existence was a consequence of the ever-falling standard of education on the one hand, and the unprecedented youth restiveness, violence, and the twin brothers of armed insurgency and terrorism sweeping across Africa in general. We should remember events in Somalia, Libya, Mali, to mention but a few, and Nigeria in particular, as a result of no education, poor education, or wrong education, among other things. We observe with dismay that about 17 million Nigerian children and youths do not have access to education, and that many more are without access to good education, despite all the efforts of our governments at various levels. And we become convinced that it is incumbent on any patriotic and privileged citizen of this nation to contribute in time, talent, and treasure to the provision and uplifting of the standard of education and promotion of peace and unity. Our activities so far, our multilingual website. As soon as we started operation as an organization, we decided we were going to reach out to every cultural and linguistic group with our educational programs in their different indigenous languages. This led us to develop a multilingual website, www.diamondcrestfoundation.org, which communicates effectively and provides information about the organization in the following 6 languages: English, French, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and Kiswahili at present. Our original intention, which still subsists, for creating a multilingual website is to provide a very thorough platform for the projection, propagation, and perpetuation of our cultural and linguistic heritage. And as I said earlier, our approach and purpose is also to reach out to different groups in Nigeria and other parts of Africa in their indigenous languages, in addition to English and French languages with our educational programs. This approach with its programs is designed to further help in inculcating and fostering the values and culture of peace and unity among groups as we explore and exploit the linguistic and cultural potentialities that make for peace among these communities. We call on well-meaning individuals, organizations, the government, the foreign missions to assist us to fully realize our objectives in this project anchored on education for peace and unity. Teachers Workshop. Looking at the downturn in the academic sector, the Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation organized a one-day interactive session workshop for teachers in 8 selected secondary schools and 3 tertiary institutions in Kaduna on May 7, 2011. The 3 tertiary institutions were cooperative colleges, Kaduna Polytechnic and Kaduna State University. The topic was determining the causes of the ever-falling standard of education and seeking for possible solutions to it. Intervention program and community service in public schools. Consequent upon the workshop organized for teachers in May 2011, where it was determined that many teachers are on the job with neither the requisite academic qualification nor the necessary professional qualification, the foundation engaged the services of some professionally trained and academically qualified teachers in English language and mathematics and deployed them to 2 public schools in Kaduna to complement the efforts of the government in providing quality education to Nigerian children. This is an ongoing project in which we are partnering the Kaduna State Ministry of Education. The 2 public schools are Government Senior Secondary Schools, Kapuri, and Government Junior Secondary Schools, Badarawa. However, while the intervention program continued in Government Senior Secondary Schools, Kapuri, the program has been deepened in Government Junior Secondary Schools, Badarawa, for reasons ranging from population explosion to logistic issues. Some of our engaged teachers were afraid to stand before a single class with about 100 students, some without where to sit. The foundation needs assistance to fully realize our objectives in this project. Along with the classroom intervention program in English language and mathematics, the foundation also distributed learning materials and books to over 800 students from the 2 public schools mentioned earlier. The NGO concluded our 2012 academic year activity by planning, organizing, and wholly sponsoring the speech and prize giving of Government Senior Secondary School, Kapuri, in which over 100 students and teachers received various prizes and certificates for excelling in their studies and teaching. And our patron, Professor C.R. Bengowi, was the chairman at the occasion. Peace building and conflict resolution through education. In keeping with our aims and objectives, and in response to the state of civil unrest and youth restiveness in Nigeria, the Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation organized a one-day stakeholders conference on the 10th of September 2011 at the auditorium of the Women Multipurpose Center, Kaduna. The conference was on youth education and national unity, with the former governor of Kaduna State, late Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa, as the special guest of honor. The purpose of the conference, as we are here today, was to determine the role our curriculum and overall educational system, both formal and informal, could play in defining and redefining the lives and dispositions of our youth towards human and national development, unity, and peaceful coexistence, which are values already negated by unprecedented youth restiveness and armed insurgency. At the end of the conference, stakeholders agreed and recommended that we should organize a similar conference at the national level, where more interest groups and stakeholders will be invited to make their contributions on what could be the role of education in addition to youth development programs, which stakeholders also agree should be a major subject in the next conference. In the promotion of peace, peaceful coexistence and unity in Nigeria, the Diamond-Crest for Youth Education Foundation promised to expedite action on the recommendation for sponsorship hindered us until this blessed day. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the recommendation of the Kaduna Education and Unity Conference in 2011 that has brought us here today. We are here today to take a deeper look into the problem of youth restiveness and terrorism, and to determine the role of education and youth development in curbing violence and terrorism on the one hand, and promoting peace, national development, and unity on the other hand. We strongly believe that the behavior of an individual has a dialectical relationship with the kind of education, training, and upbringing the individual has. We should not be scared by the subject of discussion, because fear itself has torment. Ladies and gentlemen, come, let's listen together. A time comes in the life of a nation that does not want to be submerged in the dirty pond of social maladies. When the people humble themselves, no matter how highly placed and privileged, after all the glory of man is like a flower that withers at sunset. To seek redemption, national redemption. A time comes in the history of a nation that does not want to be caught in the delusion of self-deceit. When the people rise up without missing words and without minding whose ox is God, and tell themselves the truth, the unifying truth, the reformative truth. I want to say that the time comes in the life of a nation also, a nation that dares to escape the consequences of looking the other way and turning a deaf ear in the face of grim realities. When the people must awake or be awakened to the inescapable fact that the only antidote to human catastrophe is to be their brother's keepers. In this conference, as we examine the roles of education and youth development, let us work hard to find out the roles of mistrust, mutual suspicion and corruption play. The role distrust, mutual suspicion and corruption play on our education and youth development issues. There is no saying the fact that lack of trust, suspicion and corruption and self-seeking are among the cankerworms negatively affecting our education, youth development programs and peaceful coexistence as compatriots. What we do or say or fail to do or say in this conference will in one way or another affect us as a people, as a nation and as stakeholders. Let us remember that when custodians of the truth keep quiet, vendors of error and falsehood flourish in their business. Ladies and gentlemen, should we sacrifice the future of our youth and collective existence on the altar of self-seeking and selfishness? When empires like Europe and others are coming together under a stronger tie, should we be singing a different sound? When all the civilized world around us are protecting and preserving lives, should we be relishing in the fire of totalitarian butchery and savagery? When nations and kingdoms are preserving, promoting and perpetuating the ideals and legacies of their founding fathers, should we allow the labors of our heroes past to be in vain? The Holy Bible says, if you fail in the days of adversity, your strength is small. We cannot fail. We cannot afford to fail. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I welcome you all to this Hospital Chorus. Happy deliberations.
You can see that everything is coming from the inside. You know, they said excellence, wealth. Wealth does not bring about excellence, but excellence brings about wealth and happiness to man, Socrates. On that note, I would like to call with message. I would like to invite the UPF coordinator and the UPF Universal Peace Federation, who has worked tirelessly in the issue of peace worldwide, travel representing this nation in so many ways related to activism of peace. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to welcome to the podium Dr. George Ebos. Your hands together for him.
Professor Abengo, thank you very much for what you have put in for this event. I want also to use this opportunity to appreciate him. It's really up to the task. I also want to appreciate Honorable Diamond-Crest, who has honored our invitation. You're welcome out here today to will message. I want to prepare today the issue of education and youth specifically is an issue that I think touches the heart of everybody, and it should be the issue that this nation should be most concerned, it is said that the future of a nation depends on the quality of education that the youth of that nation receives. Now, if our nation, Nigeria, is going to develop, if this nation is going to give hope to people like this who have come out to support us, they were even here before some of us. This is the reality of our nation, Nigeria. People, senators, members from the House were invited, government officials were invited for this program. This is a revelation. I'm forgetting what I wanted to say, or I'm not forgetting what I wanted to say, but what I'm saying is not what I really wanted to say. I'm saying from what I am seeing today, what we are seeing today is a revelation. And that is the reason why I feel strong, very, very strong in my heart, that in this nation today, we should appreciate those people who have been able, they may not even be Nigerians, but they have put in into the development of this nation. We should really appreciate them. I feel sad to see at this time of the day of this event, the hall is still empty, and many of our people who were invited probably still coming on their way or may not come. But I want to say we should not be discouraged. Building a great nation needs determination and the sacrifice of not all the citizens who attend this event. We are going to encourage you by not giving up. We know that we have challenges in our nation. Please, I want all of you to bear with us. You are a Nigerian, to bear with yourself. If you are a visitor, please bear with us. The reason is that a nation that is growing and going to become great.
I want to stand on all existing protocol. As I saw as I came in, and the last speaker, I think this is okay, this is the right position. I will move from here. The last speaker did make a point which I think is valid. This is a very important meeting, conference, and we sure they did have a big hall. While I'm not going to apologize for those who are absent, I think this event has also clashed with a very important meeting today in Abuja. It's also Diaspora Day. And from here, I'm rushing up to the assembly myself because the next meeting is there. So perhaps that's why some of them are not here. So we may want to forgive them, but indeed, this is crucial. Everybody should leave everything else to be here. Having said that, I want to quote Sir Francis Bacon on education, who said that education is a companion which no fortune can possess, no crime can destroy, no despotism can enslave. At home, a friend, and abroad, an introduction. It chastens vice, it guides virtue. Without it, what is man? A splendid slave, a reasoning savage. Sir Francis Bacon on education. And indeed, we have seen this savagery around the world because of lack of education. Close to home, we have ample evidence of the fact that were we more educated, we would not have had the amount of bloodshed, the amount of ignorance in the land, religious and otherwise. I had hoped to be able to show you a short clip of a movie this morning. I have it right with me. It's a movie on Mauritius, a microcosm, a small country of 1.2 million. And when I show this movie out, people say, oh, but they are very small. They are just a small nation of 1.2 million, and we are 165 million, or whatever. And I said, that's just a cop-out. The truth is, if you can do it at a small level, you can also replicate the same thing in a large country like Nigeria. Mauritius has an educational percentage of 98% of the populace is educated. That island country has over 7 major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, etc. About 7 of them, and they coexist happily together. Can we relate it directly to education? Yes, we can. They are 97% educated. The population can read and write and can reason. Therefore, they are not what St. Francis Bacon said, slaves and savages. And so there is no gainsaying the fact that unless we educate our people, Nigeria will continue to retard. We will continue to take 1 step forward and 10 steps backwards. That is not my prayer in Jesus' name. We need to get our act together. And education is a point to start with. When I was a medical student, I had the privilege of going to Sweden for exchange program. And when I got to Sweden, I was amazed. I was in the consulting room, and a lady who must have been like 90 years old walked in. I said, now I need somebody to interpret in English. And she said, no, I speak English. She was not only educated in the Swedish language, she also spoke perfect English. And that made my job easier. So the point being made is we cannot do without education. Understand that I'm listening to the founder of this organization, Gideon. I must congratulate you. Very good speech. I met you when you were speaking. And thank you for your tenacity in this project. Do not give up, please. Do not give up. We shall support you. Because the truth is, we need to educate our people. We must educate our people. And until we so do, we can just be groping in the dark. Thank you for listening.
So that allows the people to continue education helps us today with new knowledge and objective. I would really like to also invite to the stage for his goodwill messages Professor Godwin Sogolo.
Members of the high table, ladies and gentlemen, on the theme Youth Education and National Development. So I was caught in between preparing a paper and simply preparing to come in here, and they say, I wish you well. Well, to be on the safe side, I prepared a paper. But I've seen that it is safer not to present the paper, but to go along the path that is already set, to make it brief, very, very brief. The thing I did in this paper was, first of all, by the way, I was trained in philosophy. So, we are very much used to definitions. So I did a kind of conceptual analysis to start with of what youth actually means, what education means, and what national development means. And then I tried to create a nexus between youth education and national development. And then I looked at the Nigerian situation and to ask a couple of questions. Are we truly on the right path in the system of education that we have adopted, or which we have been adopting since independence in this country? Is that system of education likely to lead to sustainable development. And I'm afraid my answer to this question was rather negative, namely that education in Nigeria has deviated from the path for which it is can lead. Am I to move closer? The path of which education can lead to sustainable national development. Why do I say this? The reason being that since the 60s and the 70s, when we had, for instance, taking it at the tertiary level, when we had just a couple of universities, I believe 2 or 3 universities, before they started multiplying, which itself is a good thing. They started multiplying, and today we have well over 140 universities in this country. That's what I hear. If you add the private, state and federal universities, but they keep multiplying on a daily basis, so you don't know how many will come in tomorrow. The question is, yes, we can give so much space, we can increase the number of intake, we can assist the youth by allowing them tertiary education. But the question is, what is the priority of government? We do not start multiplying the number of graduates in philosophy, graduates in political science, graduates in history, and so forth, when you have no job for them. So the question is, you're creating problem by simply taking on the youth into a system of education for which will lead to nothing but frustration. And I think that is a major problem, where education is not assisting the youth of this country. And yet, this is a country in need of development in a lot of areas. What we need is skill acquisition. And you can't believe it. I just looked into literature and I found that a couple of years or some years ago, the UK, for instance, under Margaret Thatcher, did what is called a program of retraining the British citizens, those who were not specialized in most skills. And he said, look, if you teach, you must now go back to the teacher training college and train yourself, otherwise you will not continue to teach. Graduates in political science and so forth, if you want a job that will really be functional to our own society, go for retraining. And I understand that Germany too did the same thing. Then under Clinton, a similar program was introduced, and Americans were asked to go on for retraining. So there are areas. It's only recently that Nigeria started, Nigerian University started a program of entrepreneurial studies in our universities. Peace and conflict resolution. Some of these are areas in which we need manpower development, rather than the mainstream, the conventional training of getting hundreds, thousands of people graduate every year in areas for which there's no employment. So I believe that we need to reorientate our educational system. One of the other points where I think education can also lead to national development is that some of the basic problems we really have, as the last speaker pointed out, are due to ignorance. We do not understand ourselves. Education leads to that understanding. You begin to understand who your neighbors are. The Hausa man will understand who the Yoruba man is. The Yoruba man will understand who the Igbo man is. And with that understanding, you then break down the barriers, all right, between yourself and others. And that creates unity. So that way you can see that education not only leads to national development, but also to unity. The other thing which I also touched upon, I hope I'm not presenting this paper now. Already way back, what they see, your sensations living which they see, and so forth. So that itself is one area in which our youth. There are other areas in which you find that our youth are less that you will find a musician sitting down to compose a lyric, to create, take seriously what the intellect does. Now, these are ways in which our own educational system is trying to destroy the future of our youth. I don't think I want to continue. Let me read the organizers of this conference, success. It's a good thing, like the previous speaker said. I would be prepared to give you my full support, continue to support this foundation.
Thank you very much, Professor. That was more than just a good message for the lecture itself. It's like a work of art and appreciation, beauty and appreciation. The society accepting it, and that is why we keep on feeding on the drums. But we hope to improve. And on that note, I would like to quickly invite Griffiths here for the last good message before I invite the chairman. Venerable Obioma Owuzoroma. Good message. Okay. In his absence, quickly, I would like you all to join me in recognizing and welcoming to the high table the patron Diamond-Crest Foundation for Youth Development, for the keynote address. CEO Abengowe, your hands together for me.
Their Excellencies, special guests, members of the organizing committee, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The Education Foundation for inviting me to give the keynote address. I've had a few this morning and sort of flattered a little bit more than I deserve. I don't like to be flattered in public, and the things they said that I've done, I've really done nothing for the organization. All I've done is sit around, find my friends, some of them who are here, grab them and say, now look, we have this thing to do, I believe in it. And I'm glad to say that they have responded. So all I did was sit and watch them do it and collect all the glory. However, thank you so much all of you for coming here. And my speech is very short because some of the things I have wanted to say have been covered by previous speakers very adequately. The development of any society is the interplay between man and his environment. This interplay that ensures self-discovery plays a major role in energizing, motivating, and mobilizing the people towards a common goal. There is no doubt that at creation, variables that make man simpler, easier, and peaceful, and morality prone were created. The inability of man to curtail his ego and self-love constitutes a major obstacle to obtaining nature's promise for man and a sane society. Undoubtedly, man has a product. Man is a product of his environment or value system, and this has been mentioned already. It is the value system that shapes the perception and beliefs of the people. Value systems influence perceptions, behaviors, attitudes, and character from generation to generation. Therefore, a society with a strong value system will experience high development and produce a disciplined group of people, while the reverse goes for a society with a weak value system. Although there is no universally accepted definition of who is a youth, it is conceptually that a youth is defined as one who has just passed the stage of adolescence and has matured into young adulthood through physical, cognitive, social, and emotional growth. Youthful stage is characterized by a strong stamina and passion for realizing certain sets of goals and objectives. Now, such characteristics include zealousness, patience, radicalism, idealism, ambition, ego, hard work, etc. Usually, the fight for emancipation from parents should now be over. Health is good, vocational skills have been recently acquired, and some work experience has been obtained. Social relationships may be enjoyed with fewer restrictions. Awareness, alertness, and energy are very near to their peak. This is my little definition of what a youth is. Fundamental human right of all people, of value in and of itself, for improving the quality of life and an essentially part of social and human development. A cursory look at the Nigerian educational system shows that despite the huge investment in the education sector, the quality of education is declining. The rate of illiteracy in years of 15 to 24 is about 63%. That's a figure given by Professor Gidado, who is a professor at the University of ABUJA. The number of out-of-school children, of which significant proportions are adolescents and youth, is over 100 million. That's a figure from UNESCO in the year 2009. There is still a dissonance between tertiary education curriculum and the world of work, with graduate unemployment put at over 20 million. That is from the National Bureau of Statistics of Nigeria. The resultant effect is that our youth are put on edge and experience frustration, consequently resulting from unemployment and lack of fulfillment. Many have taken to social vices like theft, internet fraud, armed banditry, kidnapping, militancy, and terrorist activities, amongst others. In spite of the diverse weaknesses in our educational system, salvaging our educational system, coupled with good governance, are still the panacea for redressing the challenges of youth restiveness in Nigeria. Therefore, there is no better time than now for our curriculum